Good evening, everybody. Reverend Dave Roach here, uploading another video to our sermon series, teaching the Bible one principle at a time. Recent events has prompted me to do a video. Everybody's probably heard about the shooting that took place in Parkland, Florida. 17 young people lost their lives. What a tragedy that is. And it once again brings to the forefront the debate on gun control. Now, there are those in the Christian community that are advocates for gun control. They believe that we should just pray fast and be for Jesus, and we don't need to own guns, and that we don't need to have such wicked devices, that we just need to put our faith, hope, and trust in that God's going to protect you. But is that an appropriate Christian doctrine? That is the question, and we're going to attempt to answer that this evening. And hopefully by the end of this video, you will be educated a little bit on what Jesus said about it. Oh yes, the Bible, you can go to the Bible to the answer for anything in life. The answer is there. Now, Jesus was having a conversation with the disciples. He was getting ready to send them out into the world to propagate the world with the gospel, with the good news. And in this conversation, he said, behold, I send you out as sheep amidst the wolves. In other words, that there's bad folks out there, and you're going to have to be as wise as serpents, and you're going to have to be as harmless as doves. However, the Lord Jesus, in his conversation with the disciples, he told them, he said that if a man got no sword, then take your cloak, sell it, and get you one. Because the Lord Jesus plainly knew that in this life there are bad and there are evil and there are wicked people. And he knew that the disciples were going to have to defend themselves or protect themselves from such threats. Well, today, nothing has changed. There are still wicked, evil people in the world. It has not changed from Jesus' time to now. So it's very much a New Testament doctrine that you are able to defend yourself. Nevertheless, going back to the Old Testament, where he spoke of in Deuteronomy, said, if a thief be found breaking in or breaking up, and he be smitten, that no blood shall be shed for him. In other words, if somebody tries to break in your house and harm you or your family or your personal effects, and you kill that person or injure that person, you have done no wrong. You have no blood will be shed for you. In other words, that there's no repercussions for you for defending yourself or your loved ones. Now, that's as much true today as it is 2,000 years ago. Fact of business is that what happened in Florida and what happens with all mass shootings or with all killings of any kind is that the rush is to blame the instrument of that killing But the real problem is not the tool that was used, it is the person behind that tool. For example, I have been in uniform for 20 years this year. The Marine Corps, narcotics, penitentiary, private side. I've done it all. Executive protection. I've done everything certified to do all these different things. And I've had to use a firearm on my daily routine, my daily duties for years. I've had to carry one. And I've never had to discharge it outside of the training scenario. Fact is, I can take my weapon off, which I have it on right now, and I can set my weapon on the kitchen table or on this dashboard, anywhere. I can load it, put one in the chamber, and if I put that weapon on this dashboard and nobody touches it, that weapon will not hurt anybody. I don't care if it sit there for 1,000 years. It will not harm a single person. It is not until someone picks that weapon up, excuse me, and uses it, that it will harm anybody. That's the same for anything. A knife, a baseball bat, a hammer, a screwdriver, a rock, a stick, whatever. You can use any of these items to become a assault weapon. Because the problem doesn't lie with the tool. The problem always lies with the person behind the tool. The tool itself is not inherently evil. And I submit to you that there is no gun law, no government regulation that would have stopped this maniac in Florida from killing these children. But what would have stopped him is men and women who are competent with a firearm, strategically placed in that school to stop these crazies from doing their actions. It's been that way throughout history. The only thing that's ever stopped an evil person with a gun or knife or whatever is a good person with one. That is it. That is the answer to this quagmire that we find ourselves in, is not to ban the gun. Because you're not doing anything. Criminals, by nature, and it's been my experience, they do not obey laws. By nature, they are criminals. So to put a gun law saying that you, by law, cannot have X, Y, or Z, a hammer, a knife, gun, whatever, does not stop a criminal from getting one of those tools and using it. It only stops law-abiding people. Because law-abiding people, by nature, obey the law. There is no law that would have stopped it. No, brothers and sisters, what needs to happen is men and women, once again, in society, need to be placed in positions to where they can utilize the resources and their training and their character to, if you will, defend life. I, for personally, never desire to harm another soul in my life. But if I have to defend the life of another person from someone who is inherently evil, I will do so. Someone comes into my home to harm my wife, my children, my family. I have something for you. As well you should. You see, let's just employ some logic here. Did you know some places that they will never experience a mass shooting? A gun show. The NRA convention. Police stations. These places that where people know that there is a high probability that they are going to get shot if they attack it. They're not gun-free zones, if you will. I mean, if you think about it logically, if you were a criminal and you have two houses side by side and you're plotting to steal or to break in and break up in one of these houses, and you see a sign on one door that says gun-free zone, and then on the next house has a sign that says this house insured by Smith & Wesson. Which house are you, as a criminal, going to target to try to victimize? It's logic. It's common sense. You're going to take the house that says gun-free zone because your greatest probability for success is going to be in the house that has no weapons, no way to defend themselves. It's logical. It's only reasonable. No, for the longest time, Christian people, we have had this idea of Christianity that we're supposed to be doormats and pushovers, and we're supposed to be meek as a mouse. Far from the truth, my brothers and sisters. The Lord Jesus himself sat on the porch one time and weaved a whip in his hand and got to beating everything he could find when they turned the house of God into a money-changing pit. A kingdom suffers violence, and the violent they take it by force. That's the Bible. So where this school shooting was a tragedy, these things can be prevented. More people are killed every year with vehicles than with guns. And that's just a simple fact. No, brothers and sisters, we don't need gun control laws. We do need gun control. You need to control your weapon when you go to defend yourself and hit what you're aiming at. Because if the maniac down in Florida had have ran upon some opposition when he got into that school and he started taking fire, he'd be more worried about saving his own self than taking the lives of those innocent people. That's the gun control you need. You see, we simply cannot ban evil, brothers and sisters. You can't ban it. We can only take steps to mitigate it, prevent it, and to stand against it. And disarming yourself is not going to help those matters. The only thing it's going to do is make yourself vulnerable and make yourself a target. So, brothers and sisters, I tell you this. Let's continue to be vigilant. Continue to protect yourself, pray, fast. All those things are lovely. But the Lord Jesus himself told you to take steps because you're a sheep in the midst of wolves. Till the next time, God keep you and bless you. I love you in the Lord.